Well, I did the previous video, so I reckon I'm stuck with doing the update, like it or not. Hey, Andy Kotelnicki has announced that he's staying at Penn State. This is more than likely. I mean, it's possible that he just turned down the job, but most likely this was because of this blasted 12-game playoff that's nothing but money the NCAA and conferences are after. Strikes me as nuts. And this is a problem we are going to see year after year. Because, if your team is in this playoff at all, but especially if you're one of the top half and you think you've got a chance to make a run, you're not going to leave even to become a head coach. And might be difficult to get out of your contract anyway. I mean, schools might have to pay some type of buyout and won't necessarily want to do that or necessarily have the money to do that. And schools aren't going to want to wait until the last third of January, possibly, to get their coach. Now, if you're a team who's kind of expected to win in the first round of the playoff, then maybe. But coordinators on teams that make the playoff are going to be hot commodities every year. Some of them, not all of them. But this means that a coordinator really only has a shot at getting a head coaching job on years that their teams don't do as well, don't make the playoffs. That doesn't make sense. Of course, those years, they're not going to be as hot a commodity, probably. Unless, if your part of the team did exceptionally well and the team just lost because of the other side of the ball, you might get attention. Otherwise, you have to sit and hope that you get promoted to head coach where you are. So it's a problem. It's going to be a problem. And I think West Virginia just lost the best fit. I think Kotelnicki would not just have been a good coach, but I think he would have been just a perfect fit at West Virginia. I think the fans would have united behind him. Players would have united behind him. I'm not sure who else can pull that off. Fans aren't going to unite behind Rodriguez. The division that's there is going to be there. It's going to stay. And even if Rodriguez wins games, there's going to be a lot of fans who still don't want him. And probably some of the power people as well. He is a divisive person at this point. Of course, I don't think he would be around for very many years. I think he'd retire in just a few years, but unless he just did badly enough to get fired. Now, this leaves Rodriguez. Who else? And a lot of the lists out there, I was looking, and they are short, shall we say, and not necessarily particularly logical. And they include some people who are already out of the picture. So I'm looking at the list at 24/7. This is not the complete list, but that's basically what I'm playing off of. I have not researched these people. And there may be, Ren Baker plays coaching searches very close to the vest, and you do not really get leaks. If a bit of this or a bit of that gets out, it's either because Baker wants it to, or it's coming from the other side of things. The coach is part of the picture. There may be people getting interviewed that we haven't even thought of. Don't know who it would be, but then again, I don't follow the other teams. But some of the people talked about, Jason Candle from Toledo, smaller school, and he's done well. And the thing is, can look up the records. I want to look up interviews. I want to get a feel for the personality of these people. If I notice something before a hiring is announced, I may do another video. Now, interestingly enough, Ryan Silverfield, coach of Memphis, team West Virginia is playing in a playoff or in a bowl game in less than a week. Potential candidate. Record is a bit up and down, but currently up. Jeff Monken from Army, some say might be the other, well, now possibly the other of two candidates if we are still thinking. And I said before, I do not think Baker wants to hire Rich Rodriguez. I don't think he'd be happy making that hire. I don't think he'd be happy after the hire. I just do not think those two would be able to work and play well with each other. Thing with Monken, of course, at Army, he has always, run a variation of an option, almost no passing, but that's also been partly because of, limitations with the players that they get. How would he do running another offense? Would he run another offense? Can he run another offense? Would he hire an offensive coordinator and let them do it? Just because that's what he runs doesn't mean that's what he would have to run. Again, you hire an offensive coordinator and let them do the job. A fellow named Chad Scott, shoot, keep him. I mean, I do think there are coaches that it would be worth keeping, but every coach wants to bring in people they've worked with or known. So we'll see about that. Jake Dickert at Washington State, considered a candidate. Mixed record, but of late doing well at a school where it is not easy to do well, and at a school where if he wants to really get any notice, moving to another school would be a good option. Jamie Chadwell at Liberty, and of course that that is a very run-heavy offense. Will Stein, offensive coordinator at Oregon, I think, but of course they would be a favorite to make it to the final game of the playoffs, so we're into the same spot as with Kotelnicki. And lately Anthony Becht's name has come up. I guess he did get an interview. That would have to be considered a long shot because he's not even he's coaching professional ball. It's definitely a lesser league, different style. You can hardly call it experience that would apply to college coaching. I think Becht would have to come in as a position coach someplace and work his way up if he ever wanted to really coach college ball. So I think that's probably just just a little something they're doing to keep people happy. Does this mean Rodriguez is more likely to become the coach? I don't know. I don't, I don't want it to happen. I don't think Baker wants it to happen. But he has to have a choice good enough to, to choose instead of Rodriguez. Again, I'm looking, ability, there's a lot of it out there. Personality, I think, has become far more important for a head coach in the internet age. They have to be able to not only inform but entertain the fans and get along with them. The more you see the coach, the more important it is that you like the coach. And I think there are some types that West Virginia fans just aren't going to be comfortable with. I think Kotelnicki Dang, it just seemed so right. But that was wrong. All right. I should be doing some other things. And of course, as usual, that does involve taking care of the cats. So we may still get an answer this week. Could get an answer tonight, tomorrow, I don't know. Or this may mean that they're going to dig deeper, redo some interviews, uh, and go from there. So maybe it'll take longer. Regardless, I've got my things to take care of. You've got yours. So I guess we'll all go take care of those. So long.